How's it going, folks? Today we're going to discuss the importance of game management and conservation. Now, some of you might not know the significance that hunting has on the large scale when it comes to conservation. Now, my name is Albert Kigiluk. I have been hunting ever since I was a little lad up here in northwest Montana. I've been blessed with the opportunity to harvest a number of mule deer, whitetail, elk, and even a few bears. So I grew up in a culture, in a microculture here locally where hunting is very important. Now, for other folks, they might not know the significance of hunting and the importance that game management actually has. I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably already know, or you're a beginner hunter, or you're just doing research. So in this video, I'm going to try my best to educate you guys from what I know and what I've seen personally, and I will be using my phone to kind of guide me through, because there is a lot of information. So with that being said, let's start off with the first key point, and that is population control. So this is a pretty simple concept. However, when there is too much of one species, let's say too many white-tailed deer or too many elk or whatever it is, when there's too much of this game species, they are prone to all sorts of diseases, starvation, overpopulation. And when we hunt them, when we harvest them, we are maintaining their populations. We're keeping their populations down to a number set by FWP that they found is a healthy balance for the ecosystem. And this way, we're not having deer that are starving to death because there's just too much competition. So with that being said, population control is super important. Now that directly ties into conflicts, human and animal conflicts, as well as animal and disease conflicts as well. So out here where I'm located, CWD, chronic wasting disease, has been on the rise and has been skyrocketing lately. And with conservation, they actually recently opened up two tags, two doe B tags. So here a doe tag is called a B tag. So in this unit right here where I'm at right now, where my house is, that is unit 120. And for the longest time ever, they only had one tag for the doe. Now this year they said that, hey, chronic wasting disease is on the rise. We need to do everything we can to stop the spread of this disease, because it pretty much turns these deer into zombies. They become stupid, lethargic, and it's bad. It's really, really bad. So they actually, cranked up the number of tags for the deer, for the does, just so that we can help stop the spread of this disease. So with that being said, it helps manage disease. And also, if you drive around town, you'll see a bunch of deer on the roads lying dead, and these deer, these collisions are causing havoc. And I know, this is popular pretty much all around America, or not all around America, but there's units in America, in the States, where there's heavier deer populations, and collision rates are through the roof because of these deer. Now, these are vehicles that are getting totaled. These are people that are losing their cars, their vehicles, and it's just not good. So when you bring hunting, when you bring management into the big picture, luckily, hunters are able to maintain the deer numbers, and there's less deer that are getting hit and smacked, and these are less vehicles that are getting ruined because these deer are running rampant. So human conflict, disease control, and overall population management is these are three different subcategories in this one main topic of population control. Next thing I want to talk about is funding for wildlife conservation and actual wildlife habitat. So hunters actually contribute millions, billions of dollars every year to wildlife managing sanctuaries. These are sanctuaries, these are pieces of lands that different organizations purchase for the purpose of conservation and maintaining habitat. Just locally within this 30 square mile or 30 mile radius of where I'm at, there's probably 2 or 3 separate conservation and these management lands that are blocked off to people. I mean, people can hunt on them, but there's no buildings out there, there's no development going on, and these properties that are dedicated for wildlife management. These are sanctuaries for the animals to come in. They have their graze there, their water there, shelters there, and these properties are designed and made specifically for these wildlife to take refuge on, especially over the winters. Winters are really brutal, especially up here in Montana. So with these lands, you know, this is a safe place for the animals to go whenever they get pushed down from the mountains. Without these sanctuaries, without these refugees, a lot of these animals would just be running around town, and once again, we'd have a lot of collisions and a lot of problems. You know, we already have this problem with where we have so many elk in some areas of Montana where they eat all the farmers' crops. They mess up their land, and they actually have game damage hunts to manage those elk populations, because in some areas the elk are just eating up all the farmers, all the graze. So hunters help contribute to a large amount of these sanctuaries and just conservation research in general through taxes and fees whenever we're purchasing these hunting licenses. So another great reason why hunting is so awesome in the way that it's set up here in the States is that there's a percentage where every time you purchase a tag, a license, a permit, a percentage of that goes to wildlife conservation and research. So with that being said, that's another great reason why hunting is so important, and how conservation is actually helping keep wildlife here for the long term. A lot of people just think that hunters are crazy people that just want to go shoot everything they see. That is not the case. Those are most likely poachers, and nobody likes a poacher. Conservation or hunting is very regulated. The Fish and Wildlife and Parks, they have biologists that do research, and they know whenever there's a surplus of animals, or whenever there's not a surplus of animals, when there's not enough. So they put out tags and regulations every year, at least here where I'm at in the state of Montana. Every year we got to check the regs to make sure that there's no new little regulations, because they are constantly updating them to obtain and to maintain the proper surplus of animals around. So conservation and hunters help fund all sorts of sanctuaries and research for wildlife. The next thing I'd like to talk about is how hunting helps maintain the ecosystem balance of overall population once again, and predator, how that coexists with predators. So in some regions there aren't as many predators as in other regions. Up here in Montana there are plenty of predators. However, with the regions where there's not enough predators, hunters actually take role as a predator to once again manage the deer or elk or whatever it is population, to make sure that everything is under at a healthy balance, where we don't have too many of one species overpowering the other, eating, grazing, overgrazing, and all of this. So in the areas where there's not many predators, hunters take role of the predator. And I also want to talk about predator management as well. So up here we have a lot of wolves, a bunch of wolves. The wolves are getting out of control, and luckily Montana historically has been pretty loose and open with their conservation efforts against wolves. Now this year there has been some people that have gotten into the whole conservation area and kind of screwed us over. I feel like personally they shut our trapping season short, which I'm very against. However, that's another tangent for another day. But where I'm going with this is predator management. We also have a lot of black bears, grizzly bears. Now grizzly bears are protected, however hopefully one day they will be delisted, because quick little story. Now I actually have a video on a story where I got charged by a bear, and I'll talk a little more about this. But with these predators, they are taking a huge toll on our local deer, elk, moose numbers, specifically elk and moose. A lot of these wolves and bears just love elk and moose, so they have been definitely taking a big toll on the elk and moose numbers. And recently Colorado actually reintroduced wolves down into their landscape, and I think that's a really big mistake. Just from talking to hunters that have been hunting here for the past 30 years, all of them say as soon as the wolves were reintroduced, within the next 10 years, the numbers are going down. And I've personally seen where there are, different regions around home where I go, and all you see is just skeletons, carcasses laying around. And the thing is, a little more about wolves, is wolves will actually hunt and kill for their entertainment. So just for the folks that aren't aware of this, wolves are pretty they can cause a lot of havoc if they're not managed. Now, I'm not totally, fully, completely against wolves. I have a good amount of respect for them, considering how intelligent they are and how their whole pack dynamic works. However, predators need to be managed because they seriously take a big toll, a larger toll on, game than hunters do. Because once again, everything that the hunters do, ethical hunting, there are rules and regulations to maintain a healthy breeding population. There's regulations, for example, for elk, where you can only shoot a brow-tined bull, which means pretty much you can only shoot a mature bull, or usually at least 3-year-old bull is kind of the minimum if they have brow tines. So that's just an example with that. With predators, they don't care if it's male, female, they don't care. They'll eat all the does, all the cows, and then there's no mamas to raise or to give birth. So predators definitely need to be managed, and I have a great respect for all the guys that are out there trapping for wolves and taking down mountain lions. So great respect for those guys. Sweet. So there you go, folks. I know that was kind of a more calm video with me just talking and discussing with you guys, but I have a very deep passion for hunting, and I wish that everyone would just understand and be educated about the importance that hunting actually has on the ecosystem and the positive effects it has on the wildlife all around us. From management of keeping a healthy breeding population all the way down to funding biologists and these access points for deer and animals to graze in these sanctuaries. It's all super important. And once again, and not only all that, but of course there's a deep heritage with hunting. I've been hunting my dad grew up hunting, I grew up hunting, and it just gets passed down to generation, and I can't wait to teach my young boys and my grandchildren how to hunt. And that is something that is greatly enrooted in me, because you're putting food on the table. Plus, as a man, and I know there's some women that like to hunt as well, but I feel like especially as a man, this is all to all you men, it is something that just makes you feel so good, so alive, to go out there, hike around, pursue, chase the game, pull the trigger, pack it out, bring it to your table, throw it on the grill, throw it on the skillet, and eat it and consume it. That is one of the best feelings out there, especially considering the current how everything is, with store-bought food is, with the way cattle are raised in horrible circumstances, whereas wild game meat is extremely healthy. It is free roam, mountain grown, running around, super healthy, bunch of nutrients in actual wild game meat. It is lean, healthy, delicious. And a quick tip, if you're cooking it, don't overcook it. One of the biggest mistakes I see folks doing is overcooking their game. You want to make sure you just throw it on there. As soon as it's cooked well enough, take it off. I would rather have it red than overcooked, because that's when you get that gamey taste. However, this isn't a cooking video. This is a video about conservation. That was just a little bonus. So with that being said, folks, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys do some more research on the importance of hunting and the effects it has on the overall spectrum. Don't be indoctrinated by by different, false teachings about hunting. A lot of folks are uneducated and they think that hunters are these bad, scary people that want to shoot everything. That's not the case. We have a very deep respect for Mother Nature, for the land, and for the wildlife on it. And it is our God-given right to go out, hunt, harvest, and provide for our families. With that being said, happy hunting, folks. Get out there, and I'll see you in the next video.